What is up, Yu-Gi-Oh fans? I am of course the Joker, back again today, bringing you this unique little video of mine, side decking for the new format. This is my helpful tip video. This is just what you can use against particular decks. Now I want to make this video because I do know that a lot of you that watch my videos is located around the YCS Dallas area and all that, so you're probably going to be going to the regionals, and if you are, I want to make this video to help all of you guys out, as well as all of you that just want to be going to your locals and you don't know what to use against particular decks. So that's why I want to make this video of side decking 101 for the current format that we are in. And with this video I want to be covering, what to use against spirals, what to use against Dracos, what to use against pendulum decks, as well as the trap heavy decks and all that. And I will be breaking it down in a little bit. You can probably piece together what cards work with each one, and this is just, my personal opinions, what I've gathered together, what I feel as if is probably going to help you the most. That's why I really wanted to make this video. And of course, I will be giving the budget versions of these cards, as well as, the expensive cards, whichever one you guys can pick up, and whichever one is going to work best for you, because that's what I'm here to do. I want to help you guys out as much as I can. And, if you need any help, or after this video, if you think that I missed anything out, or if you don't know what to face a particular deck after this video, feel free to comment down below, and of course I'll be happy to help you as much as I can, as that's what I'm here to do. So with this video, to start us off, what I'm going to be talking about is the cards that if you are not already running in your main deck, you've got to be siding these cards because they're absolutely amazing, and I will be showing the cards right here. So if I'm talking too fast, and if I am, feel free to comment down below, and for my next video I will slow down if that's what you guys really want me to do. So the cards that really you need to run in your side deck, if you're not running in your main deck, of course, is the Dark Hole and that Raigeki, because these are your board wipe cards. They're absolutely great, and if you're not running in your main deck, you've got to be siding them because they're really going to help you out. Hopefully Raigeki gets reprinted into a cheaper alternative version in the future so everyone can afford it, but I feel that if that happens, the duel will be also chaotic, and it will be a race to the finish of who can drop Raigeki on their opponent first, but still a nice card to play when you're able to get it. Then we've also got the protection cards against attack, Drowning Mirror Force and Storming Mirror Force. Of course, there is all the other Mirror Forces, but I want to bring up these two because with this format, you can't be using Quaking Mirror Force if they're running a Link heavy deck, and, Mirror Force in general, the normal one, it destroys their cards, and a lot of cards have that protection against being destroyed, but Drowning Mirror Force and Storming Mirror Force doesn't target them, it doesn't destroy them, it just shuffles them back so you don't have to deal with them, which is absolutely great. Then we also have the Solemn Brigade, which is the double Solemn Strike and the one Solemn Warning. These cards have dramatically dropped in price. Solemn Warning you've been able to get in common for ages now, and Solemn Strike is now in just an ultra rare, so you can easily pick it up at a fair price. And for the last card is, of course, Maxi for that draw power, which if you're not running in your main deck, which I understand a lot of people don't run it in their main deck. I personally don't run it in all my main decks. Sometimes I don't even run it at all, but it's still a nice card depending on what I'm facing and depending if I'm going first or second. Then I want to be talking about the hand traps, and that's what I'm bringing up right here. The first hand traps I want to be talking about is the Ghost Girl family. You've got Ghost Reaper, you've got Ash Blossom, and you have the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now all these girls have unique effects. You've got Ash Blossom, which stops them from either searching or adding cards to their hand. You've got Ghost Ogre that gets rid of that annoying spell, trap, or monster. And then you've got Ghost Reaper that targets their extra deck of getting rid of that annoying card you don't want to deal with. So if you've got space in the extra deck to pick a particular card you feel like Spirals, Helix, and all that, or if there's a particular level 4 you feel as if decks heavily rely on you, or if you've got Decode, or if you're running a Link, or if you think they're running a Link heavy deck, you can always put them in your extra deck if you really want to, and that just really gets around them and can be really useful, as well as you can just get rid of ABC Buster Dragon, which is absolutely great. So Ghost Reaper and Ghost Ogre are pretty easy to pick up. Ghost Ash is still expensive, but if you're able to get it, definitely run it, seriously. And if you're one of the people that have this card, congrats to you. I am a little bit of hatred and a little bit salty because I don't have it, but I'm more just happy the fact that you guys have it, and if you watch my videos, you're just even more amazing. So then moving on from that, we also have the Droll and Lockbird. Now, this card is really great against those decks that rely on drawing their cards a lot because it just stops them instantly. My Burn Heavy deck, I bring that up because it's the first that comes to mind that draws a lot. I've had this card drop on me so many times, it gets really annoying. but you know, it can stop a lot of the plays in those heavy draw decks. Then that's it for the generic hand traps that you really want to be getting. Moving on to the other hand traps that are useful, but you might not use them in every deck, or you might not use them against every deck. But you know, if you've got the room, or if you feel that any of these decks that I'm about to mention, or if any of these decks that I mentioned in this video really do affect your deck, these are the cards that can really help you out. So we've got Artifact Lancier for those banish heavy decks. You know, ABCs, if you feel as if you're facing against them a lot and you think, you know, I'm going to be destroyed against them and all that, or Dracos because they have some banish effects, you can always do that. Skullmeister for that graveyard effect negation because you don't want to be dealing with that. DD Crow because if they're a deck that relies on their graveyard a lot, you just want to be getting rid of that annoying card. The first thing that comes to mind is Blue Eyes. You know, you've got that Ruins card that protects them. Then, if you're versing burn heavy decks or anything that does a lot of effect damage or anything like that, Hanwada is a lot of amazing card. And it's a little fluff ball, and trust me, this card is just really annoying to face. It's really going to annoy you, a burn player that you're versing against, because I had to verse this card so many times, and I had this card drop on me 3 times in a duel to the point that I wasn't able to beat them because I could not pull off my burn combos. So it's a really nice card that you can easily use, and it can stall your opponent for a little bit, which is absolutely great. And then for the last card, it is Effect Veiler. Now, Effect Veiler hasn't been getting a lot of play lately, but you know, if you don't have Ghost Ogre, as a lot of people don't, and you want to have a budget kind of alternative, you've got Effect Veiler. Then moving on to the newest hand trap, and I want to be calling it a hand trap because you can activate this card from your hand. It is Evenly Matched. Now, Evenly Matched just gets rid of your opponent's monsters after the battle phase, so you might be taking a little bit of damage, but if you can protect yourself well enough, you know, it can really help you out. Then we've got cards, you know, if to stop your opponent from using their grave a lot, which, you know, a lot of decks rely on cards going to their grave so you can pull off those combos like DDD. You've got some of the Spiral cards that recycle back in. You've got some of the Dracos that do some of the other things. Like, you've always got cards that are in the graveyard that do unique effects and all that. So if you want them to just get rid of that instantly and you don't want their cards going to the graveyard, you know, you can just banish them instead, of course, which are the 3 cards right here. Sorry, 3 cards right here, which is, of course, Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos, and Different Dimensional Ground, or Different Dimensional Ground, whichever you want to call it. Now, these cards are absolutely great. The first 2, you know, they can be destroyed by back row removal cards, but you know, the last one, which is Different Dimensional Ground, you can just activate that, and any card that would be sent to the graveyard that turn is instead banished instead. So if you keep on doing that to your opponent a few times, you can do it at least 3 times, of course, it can really help you out. Then moving on, if you want to stop those search heavy decks like Spirals are, like DDDs are, like Dracos, like pretty much every deck has a search kind of ability in it, and you don't want to have to deal with that, you've got Deck Lockdown as well as Thunder King Ryo. Now, they both pretty much have the same effect. One's a spell though, one's a monster. You know, spell, yeah, they would have to use background removal, or if they're a monster, you can kaiju it or just attack over it. But if you've got that protection, you know, you can protect it for a pretty long time, which is absolutely great. Now, these cards pretty much have the same effect of your opponent, neither you or your opponent, can add cards from their deck to their hand apart from drawing them, which is absolutely great depending on what deck you're running. Then moving on against that, you know, we've got cards that work against those trap-heavy decks. I'm talking about payloads, I'm talking about burn decks, I'm talking about pretty much any deck that relies on using traps a lot. You can use Royal Decree to stop the trap automatically. Trap Stun, you know, no traps can be activated for the rest of that turn. Denko Sekka, because, you know, your opponent can't activate those set cards, nor can they activate set cards and all that, nor can they even set them and all that. I know I rambled a little bit with that, but you know, Denko Sekka really does stop those annoying decks that you don't want to deal with, although it does affect you as well. But if you're running it, you know, you want to be thinking, okay, this card isn't going to be affecting me because I run in a different way. And then for the last card, we have Jinzo. Now, Jinzo is absolutely amazing. It's an old school card. And of course, I went with the PSV Secret Rare for this picture because it's the one I actually do own, as I showed in my last side decking video. But you know, if you don't want to verse a lot of trap decks, or if you feel as if you're going to be versing a lot of trap decks because the last thing you versed was Trickstars and all that, and you're able to bring out Jinzo in that one turn, which you're actually able to, you know, you can go for you can special summon Gofu, Gofu can go for proxy, and then you can just bring out a generic Link 2 monster, whichever one you want. Or hell, you could go for Priestess, whichever Link monster you want, and then you can just tribute the other, as long as it's Gofu kind of thing, you can just tribute that and then just go for pretty much your Jinzo right there, which is absolutely great. And then for those Pendulum decks as well as spell heavy decks, Pendulum decks are making a comeback with Wavering Eyes and all that. Spirals are really annoying with their spell cards and all that. Dracos, they have their field spell. So, if you don't want to be facing that, here are some options that you can use. You can either run Anti-Spell Fragrance or Imperial Iron Wall. Imperial Iron Wall, of course, just stops spells in general. And Anti-Spell Fragrance, they have to set their spells first. But moving on from that, before, I move on too much, I want to be bringing out, because I just talked about trap heavy decks and spell heavy decks, you of course want that back row removal. So here are some options that you can run, and they're of course going to be right here, as I said. You've got Twin Twister, which can destroy 2. You've got Heavy Dust Storm, which does the same thing, except you can't attack that turn, so of course you're going to be activating it on your opponent's turn. You've got Typhoon, which can be activated from your hand. And then you have that Cosmic Cyclone, which just banishes that card that you don't want to deal with. So those just, some nice choices. If you're facing any of those spell, trap, or heavy decks, those are some options that you can run. If you're going up against a lot of search heavy decks, as I said, those are some options that you can run. I really want to try to break this down into like search, trap heavy, spell heavy, special summoning, and all that. And that's why I really want to help you guys out with, here are just some cards that you can run, and they can be splashed into almost any deck. And, it depends on what you have trouble against facing the most. And if there is a particular deck that you don't know how to face, or if there's a deck that you really have trouble facing and I didn't bring it up, feel free to comment down below, and of course I'll be happy to help you, as I'm the Joker and that's just what I'm here to do. But moving on, for the last cards I want to bring up, here are some honorable mentions, here are just some other choices that you can pick. You've got Vanity's Fiend, as well as Fossil Dino, as well as Lose One Turn now, and as well as Dimensional Barrier. Now, I'm bringing these 4 cards up at the same time because, they pretty much do the same thing. They stop your opponent from special summoning, as well as you for the first 2, but of course, as they just stop your opponent from special summoning, and Dimensional Barrier just restricts it to, using only a few of the ways that they can special summon. Like if you call Xyz, they can only go Fusion, Sync, or a Link. So it kind of cuts them down depending on what plays they want to be going for. So those are just some fun options. Dimensional Barrier, it is pretty great, but if this card got a errata where it can stop links, although it would be even more amazing, I feel as if Konami might ban it. But that's just my personal opinion. Feel free to comment down below what your opinion on the card is, and I'd actually love to hear that. Then, moving on from that, we of course have, Mask of Restrict. This is a really nice card for those tribute heavy decks that you hate facing. The first 2 that come to mind, of course, is Dracos and Monarchs. And Dracos, they're still not dead, which is really annoying. But if you feel like that's a deck that you really do struggle against, Mask of Restrict might be able to help you. Then you've got the Flying Sea. Now, I wanted to bring in Flying Sea, despite the fact that we've got the Link format, and you giving a Flying Sea or any monster to your opponent is really bad. But I wanted to bring this up in my side deck video, because much as Ojama Trio, much as the Ojama Duo we've now got, and with Flying Sea, giving your opponent a monster that they can then use for a Link or anything like that is probably not the smartest thing to do. Only because it really doesn't help you, and it helps them instead because they can use that monster against you to pretty much take over. But, if you're running Burn, or if there's a particular card that, you can get over, Kaijus and, Lava Golem if you're running Burn, those are some nice options, and they're just always accessible. That's why I want to also bring up in this little bonus extra. But, there's just some options. Most people always run that. But, pretty much there's a Kaiju for every single deck or every type of deck, so they can really help you out depending on what you're running. Then I'm also showing you guys the Forbidden Girl family. Now, I talked about the Girls Girl family, but this is the Forbidden Girl family. And if you don't know what these cards do, they're pretty great. And the reason they're so great, in my opinion, is because, these 3 are the main that I really like. They protect my opponent from destroying my cards. They just stop my opponent from doing that. Or they stop my opponent from activating so many other effects, which, although you can run Ghost Ogre, as I said, which is probably the more viable option, and you've got the cheaper alternatives like Breakthrough Skill and Fiendish Chain. These three, in my opinion, those are the ones that they are in the middle. They can protect your cards or they can stop your opponent's effect. They're somewhere sitting in the middle, which is really nice, and they can really help you out. So that's why these three are also on the list. They're just my personal choice, and I do run them in a few of my different decks. Now, the last few cards I actually want to bring up, is actually System Down and Skill Drain. Now, I bring these both up at the same time because you can't use them in every deck, and they're going to be affecting different decks more than the others. But, Skill Drain is absolutely great because neither player can activate their monster's effects, which is on the field, which is great because if you're using a lot of graveyard effects or if you're using a bunch of banish effects, it can really help you out and is really nice. But, it can't work in every deck because a lot of the effects a lot of decks that are going to be using these days is going to be on the field. But if you run a deck that uses graveyard effects or banish effects or just hand trap effects or really just trap cards to burn your opponent, really anything like that, Skill Drain might be able to help you out. And of course, if you don't know what System Down is, it pretty much just stops those annoying machine decks. That's all it is. It's really nice. If you feel that ABC is a deck that you don't like facing or is a deck that you struggle against, System Down might be able to help you out. But of course, that actually ends it for this list. And if there's a card that I have missed out, or if there is a deck that you don't feel confident against facing, or if there's a deck that you just generally don't know how to face, or just need tips against facing it in general, feel free to comment down below. If you feel as if I've missed a card, just comment that too, and I'll be happy to, next time I do this video, I'll elaborate better, I'll make more cards on the list. This is just some personal choices that I would pick that really do help out a lot of different decks and are used well against particular decks that are not nice to face. But that's just my personal opinion, and comment down below what your personal opinion is. And as always, if there is just any profile of anything, just if it be set, if it be these helpful tip videos, if it be a deck profile like I like doing, or if there just be any video that you guys really want me to make in general, feel free to comment it below. And if I'm able to make it, I'll be happy to make it, and if it can really help you out, that's what I really want to do. And of course, till I make that video, or till the next video, that of course ends it for the Joker. And I hope that all of you, till the next one, have fun dueling.